Trae Young was traded to the Washington Wizards for a package that really makes you feel that much better about the Lakers deal for Luka Doncic. Now, the specifics of the deal, the Hawks trade away the four-time All-Star Trae Young to the Wizards for CJ McCollum, Corey Kispert, and basically some cash. Look at the deal that they got done for that. And I think that if you're a Lakers fan, if you're a Los Angeles sports fan that wants stars in the city, today needs to be National Thank the Atlanta Hawks Day, because it's because of the Atlanta Hawks and their decision to make that 2018 draft night trade with the Dallas Mavericks that sent Luka Doncic, the third overall pick, to the Atlanta Hawks. And they end up getting Trae Young, who was the fifth pick, and a protected 2019 first-round pick that ultimately became Cam Reddish. So think about that trade right there. The Hawks had Luka Doncic right there. A five-time first-team All-NBA. A top 3 to 5 player at worst that is a cornerstone franchise player. They had him right there. If they kept Luka Doncic, he would still be an Atlanta Hawk right now. There's certain players in the NBA, there's certain players around sports where the only time they should ever change teams is by their own accord. It's because they've waited out to free agency and they get their pick and they weren't happy with their organization. And in most cases, it's because that organization did not give them a chance to compete at the highest level, did not give them a chance to win championships. I mean, take your pick. Use your examples. Kevin Durant, the Thunder going to the Warriors. Shohei Ohtani, Angels going to the Dodgers. Players like that. Players that wanted to win a championship. The only time that Luka Doncic should have been on another team is when he hit free agency after his time with the Atlanta Hawks was probably filled with a lot of first or second round exits, not getting to the NBA Finals. The Hawks aren't a franchise that's been known to be a perennial contender, but instead, the Hawks end up going with Trae Young. Luka Doncic ends up with the Mavericks, takes that team to the NBA Finals, and is now the face of the Los Angeles Lakers. Is the highest vote getter for the All-Star game, has the best-selling jersey, has a bright future in LA where he's going to be playing under a new Guggenheim ownership group that has turned the Dodgers into the best professional franchise in all of professional sports, in my opinion, that have won 3 championships, goes into the summer with a team that has a war chest of assets, 3 first-round picks, getting $53 million off the books in LeBron, lots of cap space to make moves. That is where Luka Doncic is now. And then you look at the Atlanta Hawks. When you look at yesterday's trade and you look at CJ McCollum, you look at Corey Kispert, and you look at the history of that deal, you could basically look back and say that the Hawks basically traded away. Wait for this. The Hawks basically traded away Luka Doncic for Corey Kispert, Cam Reddish, and expiring salary. That is ultimately how that deal is viewed. How crazy is this? Trae Young was traded for Luka Doncic, and that still wasn't even the worst trade that included Luka Doncic. So Luka Doncic has now been a member of 2 of the worst trades in NBA history. I find that to be hilarious. So I want to thank the Atlanta Hawks. I want to thank the Dallas Mavericks and Nico Harrison. And as far as the current Lakers team, it was a rough night in San Antonio. They were hanging with the Spurs. For the most part, they were neck and neck first half. They just kind of ran out of gas. And Luka Doncic, you could see the free throw line, some of the legs, and they ended up losing that game. But I noticed after the game that it was a different version of JJ Redick. JJ Redick a couple weeks ago calling out the Lakers, calling out their effort, not happy with the team noticeably frustrated. And then you had guys in the locker room after games kind of looking like they were on a different page than JJ Redick. And recently JJ has called out some of the Lakers. There was that clip from the practice the other day where JJ Redick is saying that the Lakers' lack of execution on ATOs after timeout plays was questionable, and that players are forgetting plays. Guys like Dalton Connect. JJ Redick said, I never missed plays as a player. I never forgot plays. And you got a young player like Dalton Connect who's forgetting plays. Well, it was a different version of JJ Redick. Even after a loss yesterday, JJ Redick, he said that he liked the effort from the guys, that when this Lakers team gets 9 to 10 guys fully healthy, that he thinks they're going to be a great team. So very different vibes coming from JJ Redick. Here was him after the loss last night.
Cliff notes. We've had so many of these games this season. It almost feels normal. I'll coach that level of spirit and toughness and fight and togetherness and connectedness, all that stuff. It was fantastic. We did a lot of really good things, and frankly, the last 6 games outside of maybe a quarter and a half against Detroit have been really good, and they've all been shorthanded, and this is how we're going to have to win, and this is how we're going to have to compete and be in games right now. It's just the reality, and the group has embraced that, and I'll go to battle with them. The whole group was fantastic tonight. Just a really good fight. I think, one of the two guys that have now stacked like multiple games in a row for us are Jake and Jackson. Speaking of Jackson, and that's exciting, because at some point you assume you're going to be at full health, and I think we're going to eventually be a great basketball team. And to do that, you need 9 or 10 guys that are playing high-level basketball. And both those guys, really Jake since the first Phoenix game, Jackson of late, he's now stacked 3, 4, 5 games in a row where he's played great on both ends, and that's been really big for us.
So really great to see Luka Doncic and the rest of his Lakers team go out there and put forth a great effort, and an undermanned team against a really good San Antonio Spurs team. We got Victor Wembanyama coming off the minutes restriction. Much better night for that Spurs team. But the talk last night was still about Luka Doncic and the Trae Young trade and how they've been linked. And last night, Luka put together what for most players would be a career game. It feels like it's just another day at the offense for Luka. He ends up getting 38 points, 10 rebounds, 10 dimes, 3 steals, did have those 7 turnovers, went 13 for 26 from the field, 2 for 9 from beyond the arc. We've talked about Luka's 3-point shooting, the worst it's been since his rookie season, his second year, just the start of his career, shooting. He needs to get to that 35% to 40% range, shooting under that. So he definitely wants to improve upon that number, but still 38, 10, and 10. Did everything he could to help them win this game. Fortunately, some of the energy towards the end for the entire team, you kind of saw they ran out of gas. So I think Luka, player grade from last night, still give an A, all things considered. But it was Luka after the game and his comments about Trae Young and his reaction to the trade that really stood out.
I have a league question for you. You came in to the league with Trae Young, traded for one another on draft night. Just before tip-off tonight, he was traded to the Washington Wizards for C.J. McCollum and Corey Kispert.
That's what they were all. That's what they were all.
So I was just curious, your thoughts on that news and this next chapter of his career.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously we came together. We got traded for each other. So, it's been a lot of talk about me and him. But we have a good relationship, a lot of respect for him. So if he's excited for this new journey, I'm excited for him.
Awesome.
So a couple thoughts on Luka Doncic. First of all, just getting to know him for a guy that's playing for your team. It's a whole different experience. You think you know how good players there are. You think you kind of have an understanding about their personality when you're watching from afar. It's totally different when you're watching them compete in every game. You're listening to their post-game press conferences, which I love to do. And it really jumps out at me. First of all, English is his third language. And he has a great command, and he's got the personality. And why is this guy such a warm, lovable dude anytime he's not yelling at the zebras, right? Unless you're wearing a striped shirt, unless you look like you're an employee from Foot Locker, Luka Doncic is going to be the nicest guy in the world to you. And they try to kind of give him the Trae Young bait, where everyone's trying to pin Trae Young against Luka Doncic for all these years. But I don't think there's anything between these guys. I mean, I remember a few years back at the All-Star game where it was USA versus the world, and him and Trae Young are shooting those half-court shots, and they're making those shots. I mean, Noel, there's nothing there. Like, it's just mutual respect. I don't think that Luka's like, oh, I'm this all-time great player, and you're just kind of an all-star, and they lost a trade. It's not like Michael Jordan trying to find a chip on his shoulder because he didn't make the high school varsity team. Like, that's not what Luka Doncic is trying to do with Trae Young.
Not at all. I remember that exact video too, where they were rising stars and all stars in the same year. So that alone, they were already kind of on that rise together, but then Luka just went like boom, like way up. But at the time, they were both like really, really good, really, really respected. And I remember even one of my buddies, I was a big Trae Young fan. He was a big Luka fan. And then my buddy was like, see, the media tries to pin them against each other, but they're really good friends.
Exactly. I mean, they try to do that. You're going to look for stories. And people too forget, I'm not a big Trae Young guy. Like, I think I was talking on the phone yesterday. He's like a worse version of James Harden's right? Like, volume shooter, but can get hot. But it's fun. The NBA is an entertainment. You could do worse by having Trae Young be your best player. I think the thing that hurts him is point guards that are undersized, that don't defend, but don't shoot efficiently, are starting to get phased out a little bit. And they're
little guard is almost gone in the NBA. Even someone like a Mike James, who his primary role was
Mike
to get in the score. He didn't work out on that Nets team for a reason. You need to be multifaceted in today's NBA.
Absolutely. You have to be, and the game's changing very quickly. We're going to talk about this little breakdown here, by the way. So we'll get Noel back in the mix here. I want to get his thoughts on this. But how about after the game? Jared Vanderbilt kind of has a screw loose. Jared Vanderbilt kind of wants all the smoke. He's about that life after games. Here was Jared Vanderbilt after the game. And you saw during this clip where he's going up to Sohan. You know, they're exchanging words, and then he pokes him right in the cheek. I don't know what he said right there. Did he say, this is where your dimples are? And touched it? I don't know what it was, but after the game, Sohan downplayed it. He said that, quote, I must have said something to him during the game, and maybe it wasn't very nice. He must have taken it the wrong way and told me to see him after the game. So I did. And we just had a polite exchange. I was, I think, intact and very joyful, and the other person wasn't. Yeah, he just wasn't emotionally stable in that moment. So it's something he has to work on. It's just life. Okay, first of all, why is dude trying to gaslight Jared Vanderbilt? Like, that's gaslighting right there. The next time these two play, I'm like, oh, emotionally stable? Boom, here's a right hook. I mean, like, those to me are pretty antagonizing words, Noel. I mean, what do you think?
Definitely antagonizing words. He's smart because he's trying to make it seem like he's the bigger guy. Like, oh, I was just having fun. My spirits were high. When clearly Sohan has gotten into a couple of these throughout the years. He's gotten into it with Ja Morant. He's gotten into it with KD. And here's the thing. Jeremy Sohan is not who he used to be. You remember Wemby's rookie year? They had him at point guard. Wemby would be wide open under the basket. He wouldn't hit him. I think Sohan is just kind of trying to, and like you said, antagonize other players that are going through a rough patch. Jared Vanderbilt, he's gone through a bunch of DMPs. He's already a pretty hot-headed guy, so he's looking for anything. And I think he just took that moment like, bro, like, just don't mess with me right now. It's not a good time.
You're right. I think that's a fantastic point. He's not first-team All-NBA. He's first-team All-Pest. Like, exactly. He comes from the Raja Bell, the Ron Artest, the Pat Beverly school of trying to start something, but that's rage bait for Vando. Like, Vando's a guy that can get to. I think, of course, the king of that right now has to be Dylan Brooks, right? But it almost reminds me of one of those players like a Rudy Gobert, right? Like, like knowing that even Dennis Rodman was the same with Karl Malone, like way back in the day. It's like they know they're trying to get a rise out of you. My whole thing is like, I mean, if you're not on the court doing it, I mean, after the game, kind of what does that do? But yeah, I don't know. Do you think that Vando wants that? Like, wants the smoke? I mean,
out of in this current NBA where you even have players saying like nobody's going to swing, I think Vando is one of the few players that would swing. We've seen it alone this season. Every time he's on the court, Rob, you probably test this, watched a lot of Laker games. Yeah. Vando will find any excuse to get into it with someone.
No, absolutely. I mean, he looks for it. He almost thinks, I think for Vando, he's a guy where if there's like in-game frustration and he's not happy with like his performance, like you're more likely to kind of get in on it with him. But hey, here's my thing about this. Like the NBA needs more of this, but during games.
Exactly.
Like don't say it for athlete. Like they were like Billy Mack and Stu Lance. They're trying to like wrap up the broadcast and they had to like cut to, wait, there's something going on in the court.
They had to cut to their secret camera to get it. I always love when they do that.
Yeah. Where'd that footage come from? Was that a phone?
It kind of reminds me of that secret camera they brought out when LeBron got fouled and they had to go to the sky one. Sometimes I feel like they just have like a camera hidden on like the scorer's table or something.
Yeah, I think so too. It's like, it's funny we're in this day and age where like an iPhone shot is like more interesting than the 4K $1 billion cameras they're using.
You need a 9x16 angle.
That 9x16 just goes hard. It tells like a different story. I totally agree. Now, getting back to yesterday's game, we always do player grades. We'll run through it really quick because I do want to talk some more DeAndre Ayton, because I think we're gonna have to do a new segment on the show called Fraud Watch. And it's not because I'm looking at his history of having a reputation for not being a high effort player when you expect him to be one. But look at this moment from DeAndre Ayton yesterday.
Some will call it a dagger to win that game. It was pretty special, reminiscent of a shot Kobe had in his career. That one tried to get out, but settled in.
And Champagne that time off to dribble right in front of DeAndre Ayton.
The Lakers almost doubled up already in this one. DeAndre Ayton kick it right back to nobody.
Well, the official
what is bro doing?
Doesn't have
bro just had consecutive back-to-back Shaqtin' a Fool moments. That's impressive to do it defensively and offensively on back-to-back possessions like that. And it doesn't look like Ayton's beating the allegations. It doesn't look like DeAndre Ayton is beating the effort allegations. It looks like his mind is somewhere else for stretches during a game. And for a guy whose team essentially paid to have him gone and was able to eat money to make sure that he was gone, he needs to be on his best behavior. And other teams around the league that are looking for big men are going to look at this and say, man, DeAndre Ayton, when he's locked the F in, he's going to go out there and ball out. He's going to be a guy that can give you 15 to 20 points, 8 to 12 rebounds, block some shots, use it in the pick and roll, use it in the pocket, make a couple dunks and layups at the rim. Just be a steady force down low. But then you look at stuff like this, and you're like, hey, what am I getting myself into? Imagine what he looks like on a bad team, let alone a Lakers team where there's all the pressure in the world. You got LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, JJ Redick, knowing that you want to put yourself in a good spot to get a new deal. And yesterday, DeAndre Ayton, 29 minutes, 9 points, 6 boards, 1 assist, 1 block, 1 turnover, 2 fouls, 4 of 9 from the free throw line. Those are deep bench substitute numbers. Those aren't starting center numbers, especially in a game where LeBron James and Austin Reeves aren't playing. You got to step up. This is your time to show that you can be someone that you could play around a star and that it doesn't matter who's in the lineup. You can have success and be effective, but he just does not impact the game when he's supposed to. Last night, he was non-existent at times. He was out there getting cardio, and you can't have that if you're DeAndre Ayton from the Lakers' point of view or his point of view. Not establishing himself inside, not slowing down any of the Spurs bigs. What do the Spurs bigs think when they see DeAndre Ayton? Their eyes light up. They know they're getting buckets. They know they're drawing fouls. They know that something good's going to happen. And this is becoming a concerning trend because he has really struggled against some of the better front courts, especially the San Antonio Spurs. They play again in February, and I just hate to say this, but sometimes if everyone stinks, you're the one that stinks, right? And DeAndre Ayton's always, it's the Suns, it's the Blazers, it's the opportunity, it's the coaches, the teammates. Listen to what a guy says on media day and listen to what he says towards the All-Star break. The tenor changes, what they're saying changes, and DeAndre Ayton, I give a big fat D last night for his performance. Luka Doncic gets an A. DeAndre Ayton gets a D. Jake LaRavia, it's a big LaRavia household, man, quickly becoming one of my favorite. You know, he's got those favorite Laker role players, right? Jordan Farmar back in the day, so many to talk about. But Jake LaRavia, 16 points, 7 boards, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 turnover, 6 of 13 from the field. One of the few Lakers that really had a positive impact on both sides of the court. But a lot of it was kind of later in the game. He went scoreless to start the game, so you want to see a better performance from early. But early in that fourth quarter, he kind of gave the Lakers some hope there. And I love the activity and the effort defensively. I expect a better performance from Jake LaRavia. Noel, am I getting a little too ahead of myself on LaRavia? I'm raving about LaRavia, man.
No, rightfully so. Rightfully so. I think he's been the guy that's been willing to step up and actually shoot. My thing with Rui is that when he's on, he's not aggressive. You know, he's camping in the corner. He's not taking the open wing three. He's not attacking the rim. LaRavia feels like when he's in the moment, he wants to be out there contributing. And even in the games where he hasn't shot as well, he's still out there as an option. He's still keeping the defense on their toes, not just kind of waiting around for Luka. So I love what I've seen from LaRavia. I think he fits the Lakers timeline really, really well. And the value of his contract, you have to love what you've seen from him so far.
I agree, 100%. I want to see his closet. I want to see the Lakers gear, right?
Exactly.
I mean, I know this guy is loving it. So yeah, I
saw
agree with
he
you.
did a day in the life video with Lakers all day, every day. Really good Lakers page out there. And same thing, like it was a little bit before that presser that you played yesterday came out, but he just talked about like the pride of putting on that jersey and going out there and playing for such like a cherished organization. He feels like someone that when he goes out there, he's not thinking about himself. He's thinking about the name on the front of the jersey.
Yeah, we're going to go to Universal City Walk this weekend, and we're going to be walking around and be like, dude, why is Jake LaRavia at the new NBA store dropping a bag on Lakers merch? Like, dude, like, you know what I mean? Like,
according to Rob, NBA players, they, instead of using what their teams give them, they want to go and get more even rare stuff from the City Walk. So
interesting.
Yeah, they come to LA, shout out my boy John Marin, man. He got, I actually shouldn't be shouting people out, but shout out to him. But yeah, I love the NBA store, man. That's my favorite store in LA.
I got to check that out, man. It looks gigantic. But yeah, Lakers lose yesterday. I think the only real positives, Jackson Hayes, I give him an A yesterday. 4 for 4 from the field, 10 points. Does his job. He does his job. Dalton Connect, like I said, I'm absolutely done with Dalton Connect. 2 points, 3 rebounds, 1 block, 3 turnovers, 1 for 6 from the field. I think it's time for the Lakers to disconnect from Dalton Connect. And I think that he's completely lost and not engaged. And I think that if I'm a prospective team that's interested in him, that would be a major project, but a very disappointing start to his career. But yeah, Lakers lose yesterday, and they're still going to be right up there. But the big thing for me is that JJ Redick is starting to just not wear every single loss on his sleeves, not getting overly stressed. My man has pretty much completely gone gray with the hair in like almost 2 years. I really was encouraged by what he had to say after the game, where he was open and admitted that for the last couple of weeks, he really was on edge and he wasn't really himself, and he opened up about it. Here was JJ Redick talking about it after the game.
Yeah, we're all human beings. Like I feel like I had a really poor 7 to 10 days. I told the group that, around post cup to Christmas. Maybe it was just the gluttony of the holidays. I don't know. But, I wasn't at my best. Feel like I've found my way with the group again. And I think every player is going to go through that throughout the season. And it's something Luke and I talked about, after Christmas, and he's now been really good with all that stuff for the last 6 games.
So there you go. I think it's something that is healthy for him. I think if he has designs on being the Lakers head coach for the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be a short career if he's blown his fuse every other game, every other possession. And look, he's got the Lakers at 23-12, fourth in the West when they've dealt with tons of injuries. They've never really had a game where they've been 100% healthy. I know that same thing applies for a lot of teams around the league, but for the Lakers specifically, if you can get Austin Reeves, LeBron James, and Luka Doncic on the same court for an extended period of time, I think you feel pretty good about this team's chances of finishing with the top 4 seed in the Western Conference. And heading into this season, first year to have a full year with Luka Doncic and a 41-year-old LeBron, and you're trying to kind of stretch that out, I think you would have taken that if that was offered for you. And then you look at the Lakers schedule too. It's starting to lighten up again. You're starting to see more home games. Friday, they come home to take on the Milwaukee Bucks. Monday at Sacramento. And then they come home to take on the Hawks, the Hornets. They go to Portland to take on the Blazers. Then they come home to take on the Raptors, and they go to Denver. So the stretch right now is a time to get healthy, start to stack some wins, and try to stay top 4 in the West.